So, this is the 13 event, and it is dropping on Thursday because DNA things, they wanted to throw us a curveball, and they most certainly did because nobody expected this. We have Gilles Nabat, the new character that's dropping with the event. She's an excellent mage, as you'll see by her ability loadout. We have Black Magic 5, fine. Support 4, that's what we're looking for right there. Dark 5, good. Witch 4, also fine, because that means, I don't know. That actually just means nothing, because she's a darkness mage. You're not going to be using her situations which darkness means nothing, so the ice and the lightning that you get from Witch 4 doesn't mean anything. Dagger, sword. Sword is actually important here. Rod, staff, fine. Whip, that's also good. Light armor, hat, robe, bracer, sure. So good equipment. Definitely gets to use more than your usual mage. 58, not spectacular stats. I mean, she has fine stats. Level 99, 218 magic is fine. But she's not like super tanky or anything. Record materia, we have Runga, but with long cast time. That may be actually useful to people for auto attacking. I guess I personally wouldn't use it, but it looks like a 100% conversion of attack to Runga. So Gilles really looks like Quistis now, they say, except she can use swords as well. And comes with darkness access, blah blah blah. Kind of does make her superior since she can Wrath Amendment to worry. Yeah, she is, like, Quistis does have that 6-star whip, though. That poison whip. But overall, Nabat is probably a better character than Quistis. Her default super blah 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 blah. Spheres, she unlocks Witch 5. Yay. Legend spheres open up. This is important. This will be our new start to Legend spheres, and the first one up will be Vanille. She gets some Legend material. I'll go over those individually. So we get Vanille, we get Sid Reigns. Oh no, they're just available down here. Vanille gets small increase to white magic healing. That's 15% boost. Medium chance to double cast white magic abilities. That is a great Legend Sphere dive if you wanted to invest in a high quality Vanille. And then we have Sid Reigns, who also has a great Legend Sphere, where he can increase his small black magic damage and a medium chance to double cast abilities that have a dark or holy element damage. These are both very good Legend Sphere unlocks. And what's neat about these is both of the Legend Sphere ones, because these two are available with moats, while on the banners themselves they have an LMR for each, and they're good, but they're not necessary. Like, I like Vanille's. In Sim Reigns we have his here. Oh god, we're gonna have lightnings too, because everything's out of order. How are they going to do this? Are they going to open everybody's Legend materia here? Anyway, let's go to the spreadsheet. It's just, the information's so much better. So, since Lightning's LMR shows up, we're going to get hers too. And she has one of the best LMR skill sets. With the haste instant cast 3 at the beginning of the battle and 25% chance to dual cast lightning abilities. Unfortunately, this is an LMR while this is the LM2, so you need to completely go all in on lightning if you want to go for the super lightning, and that's okay because the banner that all this shows up on is very good. And on the first banner is also Sid Reigns, where we get increased duration of stat buffs by 30%, which isn't terribly good. Sid Reigns' best two Legend materia are the first two, so you don't need to get his Elmar if you don't want to. Don't feel pressured into getting that if you want Sid Reigns to be awesome. Well, more awesome than he already is. And then we have Vanille on the second banner, and Snow, right? Yeah, Vanille and Snow get their Legend Materia on the second banner. So we're gonna have Snow with reduces damage taken by ice attacks by 10%. That's practically useless. Grants High Sentinel at the beginning of the battle. That's actually awesome. High Sentinel is an upgraded version of Sentinel, where Sentinel increases your defense by 200% and taunts all physical and black magic attacks to him, while High Sentinel does the same thing, except instead of just 200% physical or 200% defense, it gives you 200% defense and resistance. It's a really, really great thing to start out the battle with on somebody. That allows you usually to run Lionheart as your record materia, and right away you should be taunting attacks to generate a lot of soul break immediately. The starting battles with Sentinel Legend Materia are actually sneaky favorites of mine. Attack plus 3% free shit taken up to 34%, not that great. However, I do like this. 2 less than good Legend Materia here. And then lastly, we have Vanille showing up on the second banner, whose 2 modable abilities are White Magic abilities restore more health, and 35% chance to dual cast White Magic. That's a awesome chance. Love that Legend Materia, obviously. And her super interesting Legend Materia Relic that shows up on the second banner, which would be a 25% chance that whenever she casts an ability, a White Magic ability, which is pretty much everything that she does. She will do a single 2.0 multiplier, magical, white type, with a defense and resistance minus 20% debuff onto a random enemy. Pretty awesome. Just whenever she's healing. If she's healing or using her command 1 on her burst, it doesn't matter. She will have a chance to cast this on an enemy. So that's actually a lot of good Legend Materia. There are some people that have bad Legend Materia in this game. These are not them. The worst in this group would be Snow, because he only has 1 good one. However, Lightning gets 2 amazing ones. Vanille gets 2 amazing ones, and a third that's fine if you don't get her Legend Materia Relic. Which I understand, because it's a tough sell to pull on the second banner when the first banner exists. And Sid Reigns gets a 35% chance to dual cast, which is awesome. And you want to throw that black attacks 10%, go right ahead. Do it. This is actually interesting, because it will also affect his soul breaks. I guess it's not that interesting, because if you look at Lightning's, that works for everything she does too. So that is a nice group of Legend Materia. I hope all 4 of those open up here. Though I'll probably be waiting for my first Wisdom and Spirit character to be Ishtola. Sid Reigns will probably be my second. Legend Spheres. Oh yeah, I'll look at that too. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, that's a terrible thing to search for. Lightning shows up everywhere. Alright, we have Lightning, who is Dex Vitality, Snow, who is Spirit Bravery, Vanille, who is Spirit Wisdom, and Sid Reigns, who is Spirit Wisdom. And the way Legend Spheres work is it takes 100 of each 5-star mote, which we'll start getting now, starting with this event. It takes 100 of each 5-star mote to get somebody up. So you want to try to plan out your Legend Sphere unlocks by differentiating which motes you use. So it would not make any sense at all to go after Vanille and Raids immediately, because that would require 200 Spirit and 200 Wisdom. So not good. However, say you want to do Sid Reigns and Lightning, you could absolutely do that, because Lightning is Dexterity Vitality, and Sid Reigns is Spirit Wisdom, so that requires 100 of 4 different types of motes. There's no overlap there. So a little more information than usual at the start of this event, because of the launch of Legend Materia. This is definitely something you should definitely come and ask in my stream if you want information on Legend Spheres and Legend Materia, because it is a big shift in the way we play the game. So either that or drop by Discord, and I'll be happy to answer questions there. But as far as Legend Materia, it looks like that would be the end here. We'll see what they have to say. Vanille's Legend Sphere looks quite similar to Y'shtola's. We don't get Y'shtola's yet because this is weird because it's out of order. There was supposed to be an event that occurred that unlocked a lot of different people from each realm in their Legend Spheres and Legend Materia. While this is taking place before that event. So, while Japan already had Y'shtola's open by this point, we have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe they'll open up everybody's. This will be the debut event, and we will get all those people. I'll actually go take a look at all those in a second, just in case, just so that you're prepared for that. But as far as we know, we're not really sure. Meanwhile, Sid Reigns just continues to keep hold on the OP Mage Throne, because that 35% dual cast is just awesome. With his LM synergizing quite well with his BSB, essentially giving him an extra 15% damage and 35% chance to dual cast. Why do they persist with the W? Like, that's purely an English thing. Can we just move away from the weeb shit? Okay. Yeah, so Sid Reigns is good, and he just gets better. So let's go and take a look at the characters column on the spreadsheet. And we see on the characters sheet that introducing Legend Spheres. We can order by Z to A. And see which characters were opened up at the start. Legend Spheres launch. So starting here and going down, this is a lot of people. So I'll be surprised if they open up all of these people immediately. However, I will go over them. It looks like it's about 2 people from each realm. We have Warrior of Light and Garland from Final Fantasy 1. Tyro, obviously. Fury and Maria. Lunith Refia. Cecil Rosa. Lena Bartz. Terra Realm. Cloud Tifa. Squall Renoa. Zidane Beatrix. What? Garnet Ware. Like, I understand that Beatrix is probably, like, the best character from Final Fantasy IX, but it's a real dick move to shove the main protagonist female down like that. Titus Yuna, Shantoto Ayame, Von Ash, Lightning Snow, Y'shtola Thancred, Ramza Agrius, and that is it. So, I'm not going to go over all of these Legend Materia right now, because I want to stick to the 13 event. However, please look at the spreadsheet if you're interested in any of these characters, what motes they take, and if their Legend Materia are any good. They did data mine the maintenance. Yeah, I mean, the maintenance has been data mined. The maintenance announcements has been posted on our client. Okay, so we're going to move back to the event now and take a look at the banners. It was snow instead of rains because soon after the Legend Materia launch, Reigns got his Legend Materia at this event. So it was like a couple weeks later. Same thing with Vanille. Alright, so we got the banners here. And the banner 1 is a highly celebrated banner. I think it's one of the best banners that will be occurring in the next 6 months. Immediately right off the bat, we have Lightning's USB. And this is this is actually going to be the debut of the X modes, where in Japan it was debuted with Clouds. Here we get her Razor Carbine, which is a sword that gives plus lightning damage in all realms. And this is the only sword in the game, even in Japan, that is like this. So this is a highly, highly valuable relic. The only other plus lightning physical weapon, it's a 6-star native, will be Kane's USB. And that is a very long time from now. I believe that is just now launching in Japan. So 6 months from now. From now until then, this is going to be... And even then, because this is a sword, this is going to be the most valuable lightning relic in the game. So the Soul Break itself is a 10 times single target, lightning non-elemental physical damage, self high quick cast 1, End Lightning, and X mode flash. This is the introduction of the X modes for global. An X mode flash, what that does is it gives her attack plus 30%, good. This is a unique buff, remember, so this attack 30% will stack with anything. Everything. That's not called X mode flash, so if you recast it, it's not going to stack with itself. And next turn, you get high quick cast 1 when dealing lightning damage. So the point of this is, I call these machine gun USBs. So you start out with high quick cast 1, and then every time that you cast lightning damage, and that's lightning, so she should be doing nothing but lightning damage, especially given that she's giving enlightening to herself, you keep getting high quick cast 1. This is an amazing DPS engine for lightning damage, because high quick cast 1 is the same cast time reduction, not the same for the purpose of stacking, but the same like mechanically as Thunder God Sid and his Thunder God mode. So it's a 66% reduction in cast time, which means that she'll be casting spell blades at, I don't know what, 0.4 a cast? No, less. Anyway, it's really quick, almost instant. Not that close, but I will get to that when we get to her BSB, where we get to truly near instant. I would be saying that this is Thunder Goddess-like. Yes, I don't think anyone... yeah, you want USB and BSB too. Not just yet, but they do work very well together, and this is actually the signifier of the start of what I believe is the true start of the Entrust meta. Because this turns a single person into an entire DPS engine for your party. But I'll get more into that when we get to Lightning's BSB2 on the banner. And next on the banner we have Oversoul. This is Sid Rain's OSB, which is just an OSB, and it's actually quite good because the thing about OSBs is you want to use them at the end of fights because that's where their value is the highest. So the fact that its multiplier is increased with a lower Doom timer is a good thing. Because that means you're going to be casting Memento Mori near the start of the fight, as you should. You should be trying to line up your Doom timer to be, in single digits by the end of the fight. And that means this is going to do a ton of damage when it should, in its highest damage potential anyway. So this is actually a good OSB. And probably the best part about it is a 6-star plus 20% dark damage native weapon. It is only a fist weapon, so there aren't many people that can actually make use of this. However, Sid Rain's is your guy. It's not like this is Vivi's and you're going to be using this on other people, Sid Rain's is going to use his Oversoul. And this is an awesome, totally easily augmentable, just as this is Relic. So right off the bat, we have two very big prizes. And moving on, we have the Metamorphose Claw for Sid Rain's. This is, everyone knows about this guy already, so I'm not really going to go into it. Ah, man, this sucks. I lost chat functionality. Why use his OSB instead of BSB? Because there will be... It's right. It's meant to be a finisher. If you're at the end of the fight, you want the multiplier from the OSB rather than his BSB. If you just have his BSB, there is nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that because it still does a ton of damage. However, I mean, look at this. a 15.42 multiplier versus 37 base, but that gets pumped up. Oh. The maximum multiplier is about 48. And if you're in single digits on your Doom timer, you're actually getting close to 48. So, I mean, think about that. That's a huge, huge upgrade over 15. It's meant to be a finisher. It is the last soul break that you cast at the end of the fight. That's when you would use it. And that's why I haven't been that hot on OSBs, but that becomes very important. And for like the conversation I was going to have later in the stream, I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to get to it now because there's so much to talk about. But one thing that is important about OSBs now is in Magicite dungeons, speed clearing is very important. And what you're going to have is a 30-second speed clear. And if you start out the battle doing stuff, by the end of the battle, you'll have your second soul break charge, ideally, and that will be your OSB to finisher in record time, because you want to, the faster you can finish, the better off. Anyway, I don't want to deviate too far from topic. Anyway, Sid Rain's BSB is really good. It is also a plus dark damage, so if you don't get his overflow, that's not good, because this is definitely stronger, even than an 8-star Metamorphose Claw. However, it'll still do the trick. And the fact that he has so much magic buffing already means that there is actually not as much difference as it seems between these two relics. But this would considerably make him a stronger character. Yes, Will brings up a good point. Having instant cast makes Sid Rains have higher soul break generation than most people. So, already 3 amazing relics, and we move on and we get to yet another one. This is Nabat's Burst that shows up on this banner, and we have Sacrifice Pawn, 9 single target, random dark, non-elemental, enemy Imperiled Dark. This is probably the best Imperiled Dark in the game, because it is the only Imperiled Dark that is in the hands of a support 4 mage, which is, as we've learned time and time again, is a very powerful tool for mages. The commands are 4 times single target, dark and elemental. Sure, that's fine. And the second one is 2 times AoE, dark and elemental, and a low % chance to mine or imperil dark enemies. So this makes her the best dark imperiler in the game. Yeah, I know Kuja is, but unfortunately Kuja doesn't have support 4, so sorry, Kuja. You do have a very good Imperil Burst, and so does X-Death, but they're both sages. They sacrifice their support 4 for White Magic 5. I don't completely know, because I haven't tested it myself, how viable it would be to use her minor imperil command even against a single target. It is only 2.0 or 2 times AoE, but let's go check, because this is important. Oh, yeah. I figured. Usually the AoE command isn't that bad for a multiplier, but it drops 33% from the first command to the second command. So it will do considerably less damage than the first command against a single target. 20% chance to inflict Imperil Dark, 10%. How useful is that? I don't know. However, I do know that this is the best Imperil Dark Burst. So, against Area of Effect, she just becomes even better. But against single target, if all you were to do would be to Imperil, and then just start exploiting with your first command, that would still be awesome. So, this is just an added bonus, as far as I'm concerned. So, we're yet to find a miss on this banner yet. These are all great. And next up we have the counterpart to Lightning's USB, the BSB2 that was released in the last event. which I don't believe we had the Imperil buff in the game yet, so it wasn't as good then. But with the Imperil buff and the fact that Lightning has quick cast commands here means that this became one of the better Burst Soul Break 2s for Imperiling in the game. And in my opinion, probably the best Imperil Lightning for physical. That is true. However, we're on the orchestrated playlist for today because I planned on it being a discussion. So that's not on there, unfortunately. So we have Lightning's BSB2, which is 8 times single target random lightning. Again, random. You want to see this when you're inflicting debuffs because it's good against single target and AoE. Physical damage, enemy Imperil Lightning, burst mode. And we take a look at the burst commands. It's very important. They're very basic, but very, very good considering what she is. So it's just your basic 4 times single target first command and 2 times AoE on the second command. However, they both have half cast times. So they attack at 0.83 instead of 1.65. That's very good on an Imperil because not only does that do more damage just from a DPS perspective, but that generates more soul break or has more soul break generation because the more actions you can take to exploit that, the better. And that becomes further reduced because those 0.83s turn into 0.24, 0.22, somewhere in there, when you are using it in conjunction with that high quick cast. So normally, what you would do with Lightning in a group where you're not using Entrust is probably just stick to her USB because it's really difficult to generate the soul break that would be necessary to get both her USB and her BSB2 flowing. But if you just, at the start of the fight, entrust her 1 bar from an Entrust battery character, that means that she can run her USB and her BSB2 concurrently, which means you'd probably want to life siphon until you get entrusted. Then use her USB to use that high quick cast, and then immediately use her BSB2 using that high quick cast, which is a lightning, dealing lightning damage, so that will also give you high quick cast. And then for the duration of the USB, you have high quick cast 1, using that command 1 to do almost instacast command 1s. Attach lightning against an Imperil Lightning target, ideally who is also vulnerable to lightning. And this is what I mean where the Entrust meta comes into play finally, where one character using an Entruster, essentially 2 characters, become the entire DPS output of your team. And it's still so much damage that it becomes effective to use. So yeah, I mean, think about that. These 2 together is just an incredible amount of lightning damage. And you could use this against a neutral target. There's nothing stopping you from doing that because you are Imperil Lightning and lightning the target. So you will still, with everything you do, be exploiting that Imperil. But obviously, if she's just going to shred anything that's 50% vulnerable. Moving on, we get to the next thing that makes Lightning a goddess, is her 25% chance to double cast lightning damage abilities. That's just, I mean, consider everything I've said so far, that's just disgusting. I mean, even if you were just using her USB and using the 5-star Lightning Spellblade with it, that's still awesome. That's still awesome. I mean, clearly you'd prefer to be using the Entrust Battery strategy, but God, please give me this. Do note that you don't generate extra soul break with double casted abilities. So even if you were to double cast the Lightning Spellblade or the Command 1 or the Command 2 on her burst, then it's not like you'd be generating more, but you'd just be doing a ton of damage and still generating a lot, so you don't even care. So this is a very good legend material for Lightning, and you definitely want to pick this up if you want her to be your goddess. Next on the list, we do probably have our first miss on the banner, which is Sid's Finery. Second version. Like, come on. Are they going to call it the same thing for global? Please correct this error that they made here, calling it the same thing and just putting alt in parentheses. The 7 does mean dark damage? No, it's just arc resistance. So, even less useful. 10 attack, 17 magic, means light armor. But the Legend Materia itself, if you master it, gives him the ability to use a Legend Materia that gives him 30% duration up on all status cast by self. The problem with this is it's on Sid Reigns, and Sid Reigns has no problem keeping all of his buffs up. I suppose the only real use of this is for the buff that he gets on his second command, which would allow this to be... Because I believe the second command buff, this is Lingering Spirit? Lingering Spirit is the buff on the second command on his burst. Only lasts 20 seconds, right? Oh my god, you're gonna make me look for the Soul Break. Where are you? Okay, it lasts for 20 seconds. So say you were to burst, and then use Lingering Spirit on the first action of your burst, which is typical. It's what you probably should be doing if you're not at the Magic soft cap yet. So what the 30% will add would be the ability to use this, and the buff would still be active for when you either recast the Soul Break once you're done instacast spamming with your command 1, or it would be active until you recast Lingering Spirit at the start of the next burst. It's really just not that useful. Like, this is kind of a wash for Legend Materia. So the first miss on the banner. The 30% duration up also counts for the entry buff, but since Sid Reigns, because of his increased Soul Break generation, doing that in instacast command, he has no problem refreshing his magic buff every 25 seconds. So this doesn't do anything for you. You don't want to be doing anything other than Sid Reigns other than burst spamming until the end of the fight where you OSB. There's no reason for this in his kit. However, he does have 2 good Legend Materia unlockable by motes. So you don't really care. So what this is just something you don't want to see on the banner, and if you don't pull it, then you're cool with that. Next, we have the start of the Super Soul Breaks portion of the banner, which is actually really good. Extremely good. Nabat is, believe, holy damage resistance, which is fine, I guess. Not really. But the Soul Break itself is 7 times single target dark non-elemental magic, and enemy attack and magic minus 50%. This is a highly coveted debuff. Love it every time we see it. Please give me more. Yeah, so thanks. Add a great Super Soul Break to an already good character right out of the gate. So that's nice. And next we have another good Super Soul Break. Sarah's Party Magic Mind plus 30% in haste. This is a very good Super Soul Break. One of the many Haska Faithkas like Ley Lines and Sheep Song. Just very good. Very good. Probably not as good as either Ley Lines or Sheep Song, but very close behind them, so there's not that big of a difference. I do suggest getting at least one. So if you don't have any, it would be a nice thing to pick up here. There we got, next is Sid Reigns. So we have 2 Sid Reigns complimentary items to close out the banner, which is nice if you haven't pulled for Sid Reigns yet. That's why I suggested in the last 15 or 13 banner, even though we weren't aware of what was coming in that festival, the second anniversary festival yet, would be to wait to this banner if you want to make Sid Reigns your guy, because this is your one-stop shop for 2 people with Lightning and Sid Reigns. You don't need anything more for these characters for them to be the S-tier characters that they are. And these aren't just for plus 10 magic. They're actually legitimately good, because they are very useful in full throttle situations. This is a fantastic buff, giving him self-quick cast 4 and giving him a magic buff, and self-dooming. So what this would do would take the place of a command that you would normally use with Memento Mori before you use his burst, which has its damage increased if you're doomed. This is an excellent full throttle Super Soul Break, and so is this. Just being able to imperil Holy, once or twice, depending on how you want to do it, against a Holy vulnerable boss would be great at the start of a fight. So those are actually good Super Soul Breaks, a complimentary for a character that's strongly featured on the banner. There are no misses on this banner other than the Sid Reigns Legend Materia, and this makes it one of the strongest banners that the game has seen and will see in the foreseeable future. So there you go. Does anybody have any questions? Is there anything I missed in chat while I was talking about the banner? I'm going to take a little break because I'm cotton-mouthed. Yeah, I mean, if you've got dupes, then those are probably misses. Some hetero, I wish. I think, can you, if you're going to be here, can you ask that again after I'm done both banners? Because I do want to go into that. That is an important question, and I can, against all reason, actually help you answer it. So you do think Legend material will come out this event for sure? Yes. This event starts Thursday? Yes, as far as we know. It starts Thursday. Yeah, should I pull on this banner even though I have everything except the Ultra, Overstrike, and Nabat's relics? If you feel like your Dark and Lightning need help. I'm thinking about pulling. You're arguing for the Sid Reigns Super Soul Breaks, did it? Yeah. Talking about lightning stuff, the element, not the ugly. Is this worth the Rosetta Raijin's Burst Soul Break? Can Raijin, or can Lightning use... No, I don't. Honestly, I don't think so. Because talk about your highest damage Lightning characters. Which would be Lightning, Raijin, Kane, Orlandu. Anybody I missed? I don't believe any of them can use hammers except for Raijin. So I'd want to augment either a spear or a sword. So I don't think so. It wouldn't be bad because you could eventually combine Raijin's BSB into something. If, say, you plan on pulling in the Kane USB banner, that would be a great place to combine it into. So it would serve you until then. I did sketch already. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people like that, but I don't know. It's important. This banner is a very important banner, and I will get into that. How good is Sid Reigns with Death as OSB? Not good at all. But what if Raijin is your only physical and Lightning BSB OSB? Wouldn't it make sense to Rosetta it so you can bring Raijin everywhere Lightning is needed? Yeah. Yeah, in that situation, it probably makes sense. Like I said, you could always just combine it into something in case someone else became your Lightning character. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next banner because everything I want to say further about this banner is something I want to save until after I'm done the entire event. An 8-star 8 Sid BSB. I have the 6-star. So I'll go take a look at that. Then we'll compare it against the amount of magic that is on his OSB. What? You can't use fist weapons. What? That's accessory slot. Alright, so you get 137 magic before augment on the Metamorphosis Clause. Jesus. See, here's the big difference, I think, is the Metamorphosis Clause not only will have a lower magic at 8-star, then, let's see, we have, 164 base magic, is you also get more augment slots. So this will be able to be augmented plus 30, I believe. Thank you for the follow, Maddie. Yeah, OSBs get plus 30 augment slots. So you're going to be able to pump this up to 194 magic, fully augmented, where with the Metamorphose Clause, you're limited to like 160-ish. So there is a 30 magic difference, and that's going to be very important. More important than you think, because the Magicite dungeons, you do not get any synergy at all. So all the extra stats that you can get from augmenting and stuff like that, augmenting is going to be very important for Magicite. Is actually a really powerful thing. However, Sid Reigns is probably one of the unique characters where he adds so much buffing to the party, because he can 30% with Memento Mori, 20% with his burst, 30% with the second command, and 30% with the buff cast by his burst, that you're actually not, you don't care that much. So if you were unable to pull his Oversoul from this banner, don't be too broken up about it. The use case of the OSB is just limited to being a finisher. And you can always just use the Metamorphose instead. Not as good damage, but still good. And the plus magic that he grants to the party and to himself makes up for that 30 magic difference between the two relics. So I wouldn't be too broken up about it. It's not essential. Not as essential as something like this. This is... you really need this for Lightning to be the girl. Okay, so now I'm definitely going to move on to the second banner, and I'll talk more about the banner in its entirety afterwards. We have, on banner 2, highlighted by an old relic in Vanille's Brightwing Staff. It's her USB that gives party status blink, Protect Shell, HP Stock 2000. One of the worst healer USBs, where it's kind of a crime to even call it a healer USB. But the party status blink is still always going to be useful. And the Protect Shell is okay in something like a full throttle situation. I probably like this in full throttle. But that just means that this is kind of like an OSB in that regard, where this complements something else that Vanille has. You can't. It's tough to make a case for Vanille as being a character worth using with just her USB. Next, we also have an old relic in Fang's OSB, and now you see why I'm definitely not as interested in suggesting this banner over the first banner, because we have an old one in Fang's OSB where she gets. It's just typical, and it just does jump damage. The spear itself is wind damage up RS only, so that sucks. Fang's okay. Fang's an okay character. However, it's just an OSB. There's nothing spectacular about this. So we have Fang's BSB here. Is this her BSB 2? This is her BSB 2, which is definitely much better than her BSB 1. So we like to see that. 9 single target, wind non-elemental, in wind and burst mode. No increased damage on the burst, but let's take a look at the commands. We get 4 to 5 single target wind physical damage. Additional hit if enemy is weaker in power to win. This is good, because we get 5 hits and increased multiplier if we're hitting weakness, which is what we should be doing now. That's when we use characters like this. And on the second command, we get an excellent 2 times AoE command and a self-dark bargain, which is very good. So you definitely would open up the fight against a win vulnerable boss by using the 2 times AoE and then just hammering on C1. This is a very high damage burst, and I like to see it. Very typical now. I would just say your average, above average burst, but good. And Fang is a fairly decent character. So that does increase the value of her OSB being on this banner. But you definitely want this because it's probably the best relic that Fang has. Not including her Super Soul Break, which is just useful in the strangest of situations. Next we have Snow's Amp Coat. This is also old, as it showed up 2 events ago for Snow's BSB1. Not that great of a burst, however, I believe it is the only plus ice damage armor in the game for physical. So 8 times single target ice, party last stand, higher damage if all enemies are alive, which you're going to be hitting, but it's not that big of a boost, so who cares? With the commands are 4 times single target and attack increases inversely with HP remaining. This is not a good addition, so just consider this a 4 times single target normal command. 3 times single target and self attack and defense plus 3%. That's fine. It's pretty good. It's an okay burst. There's nothing special about it. It's not going to do a whole lot of damage. It's not really that great for tanking. Honestly, the best part about it is the relic itself. Fang's High... No, please. I don't feel that I made fun of Fang's Highwind. Talk to Shimra about how much I like Fang's Highwind. I ask him to use it all the time in multiplayer because it just easy modes fights. Next we have probably the true highlight of the banner, which has shown up on a lot of banners from when it was first released, is Vanille's BSB. And this is what enables the use of Vanille's USB. Like this being her OSB, kinda. You want Vanille's BSB because this is what makes her a really good character. The zero cast time Medica is the only one of its kind for burst modes. And the self-mine 30% is useful because it just increases her healing potential so high. And that kind of reduces the effectiveness, I would say, of her first Legends materia, which increases healing by 15%. She's already healing at such a high effectiveness that you kind of want to increase her abilities elsewhere, which is what makes her Legend materia appearing on this banner so important for Vanille lovers. Because this extends Vanille's capability in other ways, where she's already an extremely capable healer with this burst. But moving on, for the first Legend materia, we have Snow's Jacket 14, minor ice resistance, don't care. Legend materia, increase attack when receiving attacks up to medium boost, that stinks. Next we have Vanille's Legend materia, which I just mentioned. Low chance to cast I went over this when I started the event preview, but this is an interesting and unique Legend materia for Vanille that allows her to debuff the boss's defense and resistance. And as I understand it, it's pretty thematic with the way she was in Final Fantasy 13, where this is De-Protecka and De-Shelga when using white magic abilities. So even if you just use Vanille as a healer, this has a chance to trigger and debuff the boss's defensive capabilities. Always a nice thing. Nice little bonus. Next we have the Canopus for Saz. The party attack 50% and Magic Blink 1 is actually an interesting Sid mission. And full throttle capability of his. So this is neat. However, we like to see soul breaks like this appear on banners that are part of a theme, and this is not, because Saz does not appear anywhere else on this banner. So I don't like that. Noel's Death Blow, Jesus, why are you here? This just is here to soil the banner. It actually does decent damage. However, it has nothing to do with anything that's going on with this banner. I'd probably... I hate myself for saying it, but if this is on the banner, I'd want to see Noel's other things on the banner as well. like his Burst Soul Break. I don't believe his other Super Soul Break is anywhere near as decent as this. But it does allow him to do a lot of high damage output because of the zero cast time itself and it's granting himself insta-cast. So, I don't know. Don't sleep on the damage output of the Super Soul Break. It just doesn't belong on a banner that's, you know, mostly, it should be Vanille and Fang themed. Punisher for Fang, excellent Super Soul Break. I praised the bots on the previous banner, and this one is just as good, even not, if not better, because, I don't know. Now, Nabat's a support 4, and she's an Imperil character, so she's actually got fairly decent Soul Break generation for a mage, so both of these Super Soul Breaks are excellent, and like to see it on any banner, and especially a banner that's Vanille and Fang themed. Battle Standard for Snow, this is awful. That's all there is to it. So, sucks. No great, no good. Good considering the banner. Yeah, like it. Yeah, like it. So 2 good bursts. 2 good bursts, good Legend Materia. How would I suggest pulling on this banner? If you want to go for Vanille. If you want wind damage and Vanille. Fang is actually a fairly competent and good wind damage physical character. And you want to combine one of the better white mages in the game with your pulls for a wind character. So any comments or questions about this banner? Yeah, 4-man's Luneth is probably pretty accurate. I wouldn't... I think that's dishing on a little too far because she is actually really good at what she does. She's just obviously just not Luneth tier. Coming right up at you. Alright, so one of the ways that I'm going to evaluate banners from now on is their elemental characteristics, because it's very important for us to reinforce our elemental capabilities because of the coming Magicite dungeons. And this is probably the best first banner for me to start doing this, because this first banner is actually one of the best in the game as far as elemental characteristics are concerned, because it is one of the best lightning banners in the game, considering you have the giant lightning DPS engine, and it is one of the best dark in the game, because Sid Reigns and Nabat will probably carry you by themselves in a dark Magicite dungeon. So not only is this probably the best 13 banner we're ever going to see, but it is one of the best as far as being strongly focused on 1 or 2 elements. So Dark and Lightning. Powerful banner. And Holy too. Sid Reigns also doubles as a Holy character. However, I did bring up in Discord earlier that though Sid Reigns is a very powerful Holy character, Holy as an element is dominated by physical characters, and your Holy damage team will likely be physically oriented, which reduces the effectiveness of Reigns. So he may not make it onto that team. I don't know. How do you feel about Final Fantasy 13? How do you feel about your capability to do lightning and darkness damage? If these 2 things are things that you need, then this banner is someplace that you cannot go wrong. I agree. His other Super Soul Break should be in Pearl Dark. As far as sticking to theme, this banner is probably going to be better than any festival banner. I agree that Emperor doesn't count, and Golbez's burst is very good. This is actually, if that is the only thing that you have going for you for Dark, this is actually a good Darkness banner for you, because Sid Reigns, Nabat, and Golbez are a super trio of Dark. I'm pretty good on Lightning, and that's probably why I won't be pulling here, and I do have Sid Reigns Burst. Hoping that I can pick up some dark stuff in the future, because I do feel like I'm lacking in darkness damage with just Sid Reigns to my name. I do eventually plan on pulling on the Golbez USB banner, but that's very far into the future and like months after Magicite launches. So, I don't know. I am taking a bit of a risk with my darkness damage, and this would be a good banner for increasing my darkness capability. Just not as much as it normally would, because I already have Sid Reigns Burst. So I'd really just be looking for Nabat stuff and probably Lightning too here. I have Garnet's BSB 2, Ash BSB, and Rajan BSB. Is that good enough lightning damage for Magicite? You need something stronger. That's good enough. That'll clear it for you. And I suppose there is value in saying that lightning allows allows you to do speed runs of Magicite dungeons more than those characters would, because they're slow. Definitely in Rajan's case, slow damage dealers. Where Lightning is just disgusting DPS. Sounds like a good banner for you, Raccoon. Lightning Imperil, the BSB2 for Garnet does make up for it being hybrid. However, that's a clear team. I don't see that team ever succeeding in an under 30-second clear. That's all. So, yeah. This is a fantastic banner. Really love it. As far as like top to bottom effectiveness, I don't think there's many quite like this. Final Fantasy 15 banner is about as good as this. You have 4 dupes. Which dupes? That's very important. This is obviously not a good dupe. Sid Reigns BSB isn't a bad dupe if you're unable to get the Oversoul. These aren't great dupes. So that's unfortunate. I think the only good dupe on this banner is Sid Reigns BSB, and that may not even be a good dupe if you get Sid Reigns OSB. If I were to pull on this banner, since I do have that 6-star Metamorphosis Claw, Um, I would probably just combine my 6-star Augmented Claw into the Oversoul. That's how unfortunate dupes would be there if I were to get his OSB. If Sid Rain's BSB wasn't on there, would that still be a good banner? Yes, but only for people with Sid Rain's BSB. I mean, it's honestly, yeah, still a good banner. Yeah, it's still a good banner. I mean, what would you put in its place? Because something would have to take up that 1%. Yeah, Raccoon, there's no point in answering that question because we don't have any idea what's on Festival Banner 3. Why would you only want to pull one? This is good, and these are good. So if you have Sid Rain's BSB, that makes 3 out of 5 good instead of... Yeah, sort of. It's not even that good as a stat stick if you don't have his BSB, because I believe there's only other one Darkness Mage in the game that can use fist weapons, which is Vayne. So it's... If you don't get Sid Rain's BSB here, his OSB is actually quite shit. If I were to pull on this banner, what would I consider to be valuable, and what percentage should I take? Well, let's add up the percentages first. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% banner for me. %'s a damn good percentage. I really am holding myself back from this because my lightning damage is so good. However, I'm in a worse position than TRM Shadow is, as far as like being able to speed clear lightning. I do have Dash though. I do have Dash. No, I don't think I can pull on the banner. This if everything had gone like, or at least above average or really well, and this event had appeared when it was supposed to appear, then yeah, maybe I could have budgeted a pull or two for the banner. Um, but now it's going to start on the 8th, so it's going to end on the 18th. I don't think there's any way I could budget anything for it. Maybe we don't know what the event after